SPD emergency. Hello, everyone. It's me, Lego Sartinia. I'm with JJ.
Hi,
And what are we doing today?
we are reviewing our trip from our small trip from the efteling. Reviewing every single ride we did there. Just note we didn't do
Although we
everything, but we did a lot.
and we are reviewing all the rides separately, and there's going to be a video at a later date where you have like a vlog of us doing it, and
Yeah,
then there's going to be all the rides.
this is
But we're
current.
starting with
We're starting with where we actually started. We're going in the order of which we did everything as well. So we
so we
did
started.
Danse Macabre, or in Dutch pronunciation, Danse Macabre, and uh yeah, I'm gonna get into the technical stuff for this because I know so much about this. Danse Macabre is like a what was it called again? An intimate show stage thing that is basically one big platform with smaller platforms attached to it. Like hold on. I don't know what
I'm
the right word. A dynamic motion stage. That, and it's
God damn.
basically a big plate with like plates that can like tilt the big plate that can tilt, go up and down, including smaller carts that can rotate independently of the main platform, which is really fun to look at. And by the way, there's
I
a
just want to.
lot of spoilers in this for the ride experience.
I'm just gonna give my 2 cents on it. Why does the thing have lore? Like, am I complaining? No. But who thought, this funny little ride? Let's give them a lore drop before they enter.
A,
Like, bro,
a strong
what?
storyline can build a strong relationship between an area and a person, making them maybe spend money on said thing.
Bro is not ChatGPT.
I'm not even kidding.
Okay, I know what you mean, but the way you worded it just made it sound like when you like read up the first page of Google. That's what you sounded
I'm
like.
not. I'm not. I'm just yeah, using different vocabulary. But for the outside appearance is what do you think of like the look of it from the outside at least?
I think from the outside it looks pretty cool. Like the aesthetic, it nailed it. I'm just still confused on the. It's just yeah.
Well, technically the whole ride I'd also count as an area as well. But
Oh.
I'm gonna say one thing. I once went to like the toilets here because those were open at the time, and it started
Huh?
fucking playing violin, and I shat my pants. Like I just there's like small like music going on. It was like it wasn't that bad, and then I just suddenly heard, and I shat my
Yeah, I
pants right then and there.
wait dead ass.
Yes. Well, I was my pants were already down, so I technically didn't shit my pants, but I still shit myself.
Ignoring that. So I remember when I went on the trip. So me, JJ, and Pinky were there alongside a friend and gaming. So pretty much we were there in the line, and so since we went to Dos Macabre since it went down later in the day, probably due to the overabundance of people who went on the ride.
Yeah, the
So
line moved really slow because like there's a
yeah,
small pre-show where they like tell a bit of lore about the ride. Speaking of which, spoilers for lore. Basically, a big I don't know, I don't know what this word is in English, but volgens mij een directrice of zo, of een the person who conducts a
director.
music conductor or whatever. He
Yeah.
played the song Dance Macabre, which is the one you will hear on the ride itself. He played it in a giant chapel, which is where the ride is in, and his over 100-man band proceeded to vanish out of nowhere. It wasn't even. They didn't even tell us why, how, or when. It just vanished. And they say to this day the person who played the song, who Joseph Charlatan, is haunting the chapel for all of
Oh
eternity.
hell no.
So after the pre-show, you go through a small wooded area, and eventually you end up on a giant bridge where you will be divided through every single big. How do I say that? I don't know how do you call these. Like the big
Group?
benches or whatever, like big
Yeah.
square benches. And we got one
Uh,
of like the five benches. We were seated in the back row, but the view didn't really matter because it was still freaking good. So we went down like a very long and dark hallway. We were all fearing for our lives there, holding each other, trying to not walk into any walls.
Like okay, we weren't scared to the ride itself. We were scared because it looked like a Batman theme of how dark it was.
Yeah. The funny thing was, like, when you get divided, there's a literal green glowing violin on a table.
That's some
Why?
Luigi's Mansion. That's some Luigi's Mansion type shit right there.
Yeah. But after like a small while, doors open and there's just empty seats. Then there will be employees that will tell you to go to whatever row. We got seated in the back row, and eventually the seats like they are uncomfortable as fuck, dude. Like
I don't even know why.
they could have added more foam or just had no foam at all. But they were like, you know what? Let's do this in the most annoying way possible. I get it, it's a prototype, but still, you can't just make a prototype uncomfortable. That will just make it less inviting for other parks to even get one.
But okay, one thing I wanted to mention. So as I was saying with how long the line was, I remember I was so bored, but I remembered I have Netflix on my phone as an Ninjago movie downloaded. So I watched like the first 30 minutes before we got on the ride. That wait time was insane.
Yeah,
And the thing is, because we bolted into Danse Macabre, the second we entered the park, because of that, we got like the shortest line.
yeah.
I
We
feel I feel bad for anyone trying to do the ride after we did, because when we left, god damn, that ride was long.
like the line was like hovering at like 30 to 40 minutes, but the problem was it kept breaking itself. It kept breaking down, it kept stopping. And we were like, thank God we did this in the morning. Cuz like
Yeah,
prototype rides mostly have like a tendency to just fuck themselves a lot.
which okay, so the ride itself, it was really fun in my opinion.
Yeah.
But although it's a theme park ride, so of course one thing must be constant. It must exit into a gift shop. It is a law at this point.
Yeah, but like the gift shop wasn't actually that bad in terms of like it looks really good.
Yeah, at least it kept the atmosphere. We can give him that.
The atmosphere was like perfection. I really just want to talk about how the ride went because I can still vividly remember how it went.
I can too.
So, spoilers for anyone going to ride this. Skip to whatever timestamp is on screen for, I don't know, other things. But basically, when the ride starts, everything just goes dark. You can't see shit, but only like the big tub of instruments in the middle slightly moves around before everything goes dark. You slightly move down, which is fucking terrifying. You just go whee for a second,
Yeah, I thought we were gonna die.
and you just slowly turn to look at like an organ, like the musical organ type of
Instrument.
thing, and then
The
suddenly a
instrument.
fucking ghost appears out of nowhere. All right, mom. Wacht even, mom. Sorry, my mom came into my room at the worst possible time. Let's just cut that out. Basically, a fucking
Yeah.
ghost appears, and then suddenly music starts playing as the whole big plate starts rotating, and the cars constantly look toward the dirigent,
Ghost.
dirigent's ghost, and they just keep looking at that before the cars turn to look at other things, which is other fucking half dead ghosts playing instruments. Even the floating green glowing glow in the dark violin it was playing as well.
Which I think it was pretty cool. Although the one thing that I didn't like. So it was spinning pretty fast. At some point, it's like started going up and down, and I
Yeah,
mean I liked that, but like at the end, it kind of dropped, which scared the hell out of me.
it was pretty well synchronized in music ways. Like I was like, that's not bad. Because like the funniest part, like it just kept rotating. Eventually, the platform started going up and down more without the cars really spit, with the cars slightly just starting to rotate on their own. And eventually, some sort of climax happened in the music, and the whole platform just tilted. Not even a warning. It
Yeah.
just slowly went up and then tilt out of nowhere. Scared the fuck out of everyone in the room. And then the tilting started like, well, it didn't start rotating, but like the tilt part like kept rotating around, making every card tilt so weirdly. But that was so fun. I was like, why is this fun? I thought it'd
Although
be a bit more scary. But then eventually some like cultist motherfuckers start showing up out of nowhere. Like they literally appear out of nowhere.
I
And
think it's just I have a theory. It's just the employees. I think they were there the entire time. It just took us that long to notice them.
I noticed them like almost immediately. I was like, why is there cultists here? What the fuck? And then suddenly, like, everything goes dark again. You go up, and then you fall all the way back down before the ride just ends.
Yeah.
Every light comes back on, and everything you saw in there with like the ghosts and stuff is just gone. Nothing. No cultists, no people, just nothing. And I was like, am I schizophrenic or was there actually cultists there? I really I can I can just slightly know which techniques they used, but I don't want to spoil any magic for those people. But that was so weird, but so good. And then
Loop. I feel
afterwards,
like I.
oh,
One last comment I'm gonna make before we end this video. If we ever get like the Luigi's Mansion Super Nintendo World expansion, I see them using this type of ride for like a Luigi's Mansion coaster.
oh hell yeah. Also off
Anyways,
topic, one of my friends made a Luigi's Mansion roller coaster. Not even kidding.
cool.
But
Anyway,
what would
I think
you?
that's gonna do.
Oh,
I think that's gonna do for this video. Let's have something less to say.
what do you rate this ride? From
I think
I
I rated
found
a solid B tier.
solid B tier. I found it like a solid like A tier. Like it's really good. Storytelling wise, it's kind of meh. They could have done a bit more. They could have like hidden a few things about actual lore rather than having the thing called the unnameable literally just being a
Yap to you.
cat. So they literally said don't interact with cats. And I was like, is that really just a ploy to sell more cat plushies? Which I looked at. I looked at the
Yes.
cat plushie as well. 20 goddamn euros. Fuck no.
That's the standard price for plushies in amusement parks.
Yeah, it was like a small one too. Like it wasn't that big. Like the one you'd see in like a store of that size would probably be like 15 or something.
No, I checked it. Yeah, actually, you're right. Never mind. I remember. I remember.
But that was
I've
comically
had a,
expensive.
I've had like a phase where I buy a shit ton of plushies. They were always about $20. The only exception is AliExpress, but I think theirs are made with like 7 children from Uzbekistan working their asses off.
Yeah. But I think that's gonna do it for this thing. But
We'll see you on the next. We'll
yeah.
see you on the next review, which will be yeah, I
Which
forgot
will be Mux and
the next will
Mohits.
be. Yeah, so see you then. Bye.
Bye.